Hey, what's up guys? Alright, so this is going to be a shorter review for chapter 176 because while I did enjoy the chapter, I actually had a lot of fun reading it. Not much really happens, and the majority of the plot relevant stuff happens in the last few pages of the chapter. So the majority of it is not really just, there's not really much to talk about. It's pretty much just a majority of the chapter, the Eden Zero crew kind of having fun and just enjoying themselves for a bit. Which is fine, we actually need a chapter like this every now and then to kind of slow down the pace and, let everything just kind of calm down before we go into the next major arc, which is seemingly going to be a fight against Ziggy. And considering how powerful Ziggy is, excluding his crew, because we really haven't seen much of his crew just yet, but knowing how powerful Ziggy is and what he's capable of doing, this is going to be a very hectic fight, which might involve a few more players than we originally thought it would. Okay, so the chapter actually opens up with a quick summary of the last few chapters from Xiao Mei, which we get to see my girl in a bikini. Definitely, a great picture, great image. Tabata, or not Tabata, I just got done recording a video for Black Clover, so that's why I said Tabata. Hiro Mashima, that's the creator of the series, Hiro Mashima, he definitely knows, especially with the last few cover pages that we had, he definitely knows what the fans want, and, the fans want sexy girls in bikinis and, revealing outfits. And it was actually kind of funny, again, keeping up with her meta commentary with the audience. She has the question posed to her at the end of the chapter, or at the end of the summary, why am I in a bikini? And she pretty much just answers, because I want to be. So yeah, I actually found that really funny. Now, getting back to her quick summary of the last few chapters, basically she says, they went to Blue Garden after meeting up with Connor, and him telling them where Ziggy is. They tried to drop him off there, they got attacked by Feder and her crew. They escaped with Connor's help, and now he officially joined the crew. And she says that basically because of the fact that they were trying to get repairs done on Blue Garden, but because they had to make a quick getaway because of Feder, they needed to stop somewhere else in order to get repairs, which was actually kind of interesting, because I had wondered why, when I got the summary leaks for this chapter, why they would be stopping at different places instead of going straight to Lendard. But this actually makes sense. They need to make repairs on the ship, and in order to do that, they stopped at a certain planet that actually happens to have a resort as well, which is called Ryuzetsu, I believe it's called, or Ryuzegetsu, something like that. And they figure, hey, while we're here, while we're waiting for the ship to be repaired, we might as well enjoy the resort. Which, that makes sense. They're about to go into a very epic battle against Ziggy and his crew. So it makes sense with something like that coming up. They would want to kind of take the time and just relax, basically let their bodies and minds rest up and get replenished before they go into that very grueling, ordeal. Anyway, the rest of the chapter is pretty much just the Eden Zero crew enjoying their time at this resort. We get to see them playing around. We get to see a quick shot of Laguna and Klein using their Ether Gear abilities to kind of move up the water and play around with the water a little bit. Although they do get in trouble with the lifeguard a little bit, but that's kind of just played up for jokes. We have this moment where Wise uses his Ether Gear ability to actually use to upgrade the current that Homer is using to train herself, which ends up just blowing away her bikini. And then we also have this really sweet moment where we're actually building up the relationship between Shiki and Rebecca into a more romantic side of things, kinda. It's the implications there, obviously, it's kind of played up as a friendship moment in the chapter, but it's very obviously playing up the romance side of them as well. Because we actually have the two of them taking pictures together, and on the very last shot, Rebecca decides to kiss Shiki on the cheek, and the two of them get very embarrassed and blush over it. But again, they kind of play it up as being friends and being allies, basically taking care of each other. But you can tell by the reactions that there's a lot of romance involved in between the two of them. And this is obviously not the first time the romance between Shiki and Rebecca has been kind of hinted towards. Although I'm really hoping that Hiro does not just continue to hint us throughout the entire series and actually makes it official at some point, if he plans on doing it, instead of doing what he's doing with Fairy Tail, where he continues to hint at the idea that Lucy and Natsu like each other but never actually make it official. I mean, hell, and getting a quick tangent because I haven't talked about it in a while and I actually want to talk about it again. Where we're at currently in 100 Years Quest, we have Jalal and Urza pretty much official as a couple, Kajil and Levy about to have a kid. We have even Gray admitting that he has feelings for Juvia. So now really we just need, out of the main couples for the series, we just need Natsu and Lucy to officially become a thing. Anyway, quick tangent aside, going on from that point, we actually see some commotions happening at the resort, and we end up finding out that Lobelia is there too, kind of trying to, relax and be on vacation. And we end up finding out in this chapter, which a lot of people on Twitter, when the leaks came out for this chapter, were really happy about and excited, and basically just throwing shade at Lobelia for the entire week the entire weekend since the leaks came out, about the fact that we find out that her channel's actually been taking a dive for the past 3 years. In fact, they're even calling her kind of like a washed up star in this chapter, which honestly I saw coming because of the fact that Rebecca is on such a high pedestal now, because of the fact that her career is basically on the upshoot. it made sense for Lobelia as basically being her rival to be going downward with her career. But at the same time, I didn't really get the same kind of pleasure or excitement from finding out that she's on the downward spiral in this chapter that a lot of people apparently did on Twitter. I don't know, maybe it's because of the fact that during the Dragon Joe arc, when they actually rescued her from him, I kind of feel like that her and Rebecca kind of put their, obviously Lobelia was still kind of hostile a little bit towards Rebecca, but I kind of feel like, in my opinion, that they kind of put their rivalry to the bed at that point. At the very least, I kind of feel like Rebecca did, so I didn't get the same kind of excitement or pleasure, like I said, from seeing that she's on the downward spiral and that her life's kind of ruined right now, that everyone else did, because I kind of feel like Rebecca wouldn't be happy about this, and if Rebecca's not happy about it and she's the one who actually has a grudge and rivalry with Lobelia, then we shouldn't be that excited about it either. But anyway, while she's on vacation, she's basically getting accosted by some guys who are trying to use her to make a, well, basically an X-rated video. They pretty much just say in this chapter that they're going to basically kind of, I don't want to say the word because of, I don't want this video being taken down by YouTube for any reason, but you know what they're trying to do to her. And she ends up getting saved by Shiki and Rebecca, who the guys actually try to pick a fight with Shiki after trying to hit on Rebecca after realizing who she is and try to use her for their video instead. And then the fight actually ends up getting broken up by Holly, who I forgot to mention in my review for the last chapter, but said at the end of the last chapter that she's actually going to be taking over from Feather the investigation, or technically the capture of Shiki. And she shows up at the end of this chapter, and Shiki and Rebecca actually do get ready to fight against her. But she actually says, hey, listen, I'm not here for a fight. I think the two of us can actually be friends. And that's where the chapter ends. Now, because of the fact that it's Holly, I do think that they actually can trust her. I actually think, in my personal opinion, that Holly's not going to betray them. Since she was introduced, anytime Shiki's been brought up in a topic that she's been involved in, she seemed to have like a little bit of an indifference to him, or at the very least indifference to capturing him. In fact, in my personal opinion, I kind of think that Holly has the same opinion of Shiki that Victory does, where they don't see him as a threat. In fact, they kind of see him as someone that could potentially end up being an ally. At the very least, it's not someone that's worth their time and effort to try to capture, because he's not really trying to do anything that's hurtful to the universe or the universe that they control. So that's the reason why I think that personally Shiki and them can trust her, and she's actually coming to them with, the clear or truthful intent of actually being their ally. Now, whether or not Shiki's actually going to take up that offer or not in the next chapter is still up in the air, but I personally think that she actually can be trusted. And actually, one of the major reasons why I think she can be trusted is because of the fact that if you go back to the end of the last arc, when we had that conversation between all of the OSI members, there was one person that was brought up in the conversation that seemingly got a negative reaction from Holly, and that was one of the OSG members. I believe it was Dead End Crow. I think that, she has a personal connection to him, or a personal vendetta against him, and I think she actually might be trying to use Shiki in the future as a way to actually get at Dead End Crow and actually try to help capture him. Which honestly makes sense, and it's pretty much the only reason I can think of as for Dead End Crow to get involved in the story, because as of right now, the only OSG member that Shiki has a problem with is Ziggy. That's the only person he's after right now, so there's no reason, unless for some reason Dead End Crow gets in the way of Shiki and the gang trying to make it to Mother, there's no reason for him to get involved in the story, or for Shiki to ever have to fight him. But if we throw Holly into the mix with her personal connection to Dead End Crow, then it makes perfect sense why Shiki would go after him. Maybe, in this chapter or in this arc, Holly's going to get involved in the fight against Ziggy, help them out, and as a way to return a favor, Shiki and the Eden Zero crew are going to help her take down Dead End Crow. Or at least that's what I think is going to end up happening. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the chapter, guys. It's like I said, it's going to be a shorter video because there wasn't really much to talk about besides the last 3 or 4 pages. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, we don't really resolve the whole Lobelia thing. She's involved in the conversation as well, so I'm wondering what her involvement in this arc is going to be. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed at this point for Lobelia to join the Eden Zero crew temporarily. We already have Couchbo there, and she hasn't really done anything much since the last arc, where we had a brief moment of her helping out when it comes to repairing Hermit and Sister. So I mean, if we already have one useless member of the Eden Zero crew, we might as well add one more and let Lobelia join up. But that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought about the chapter, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.